the most hated people on paternity court.
He's just some big, I guess, hoe is a better way to put it. I'm sorry. Don't mean to be rude. But at the end of the day, he's not doing everything he say he's doing.
I came home and found him and her in our bed naked. I knew that they were sleeping together, but to put it in my face and be in my bed and me walk in and catch them naked, why would it be any different? She slept with my first husband and my second husband.
Miss Hicks appeared in court with one goal: to seek the paternity of her son, Micah. However, there were not 2, but 3 contenders for the role of fatherhood, one of whom was the defendant who claimed mommy was after his money. There was doubt, there was denial, and there was a desire for answers. What more do we want, right?
I ended up running into Rico, was drinking, talking, chilling. It was a wham bam, thank you ma'am, deuces. After that, I ended up finding out I was pregnant. I thought it was the first guy that I was messing around with, my boyfriend at that time. I didn't have a stable environment, so his family had helped me out, and I stayed with them until my baby was born.
Who would have thought a one-night stand would end up with such drastic consequences? Well, that happened. The baby mama, along with the baby, were living with the boyfriend of that time. But things took a harsh turn. And boy, what that boyfriend did was pretty hateful.
In the middle of January, my baby left out with only a diaper and a t-shirt on with a blanket in his car seat. They took back everything and went to my mother's house. My mother bought him everything. At that time, we were already getting the DNA test for the first guy that I was with.
On the boyfriend whose family you were living with.
Well, the defendant was the 3rd guy to be tested now, but he didn't believe that number. Nope, he believed there were more players in the game. Furthermore, the way Mr. Bolton got to know about the child he might have was surely a scene out of a movie.
I seen Miss Hicks at the bus stop. At that time, my car was broken down. I said, I saw you over at his house, and she said, yeah. She said to me, what's your name? I looked at her crazy, like, why? Then she said, Rico. I'm like, how do you know me? She said, we might have had sex a long time ago, and I have a baby.
No, let's at the bus stop.
At the bus stop.
Wow, this baby daddy had serious doubts about being the father, and he wasn't just running his mouth. Nuh-uh. He had stories to back them up with. Despite having a boyfriend at the time, baby mama had sowed quite a few oats, and now she was reaping the consequences.
Why wasn't he a thought when you knew you had slept with multiple men and he was one of the multiples?
Because she had a one-night stand?
He wasn't a multiple. It was a one-night stand.
That's a multiple. I said multiple men.
Yeah, okay.
So he was one of them.
Who's the daddy? That was the running question here. Now, the baby mama thought she was playing it smart, but that's delusional as heck. Oh yeah, because the baby daddies seem to be uniting and ganging up on her. Dear God.
Like I said, it was a little frail in the beginning when we first came back together. I was there, but I wasn't. But now, as a man, I actually got myself involved in this young man's life. Most men wouldn't. I'm actually taking him on the weekends when it's available. He's hanging out with me, coming around with me and my family.
So you stepped up.
So I'm stepping up. I'm doing what I'm supposed to do.
Now, a minute ago, these guys were vibing along by the looks of it. But as soon as the husband stepped up to the podium, things took a different turn. Mr. Renard turned the tables on the defendant. Yeah, you heard that right. No worries, though, because Judge Lake wasn't letting that fly.
You do understand that he has doubt.
No, I can understand
The 2
that.
other men have been tested, and he knew nothing about the child until Micah was 3, and he even says he came back looking for Ms. Hicks, but never got a call.
Set up a meeting so myself and my girlfriend could
set
come
up
over.
a meeting.
They didn't even want to talk to me at first.
Right down
I've been
the
getting
street
messages.
Coming back to the real issue at hand, Mr. Bolton threw the idea of a meeting between these guys. But before he could even finish testifying, the baby mama kept interjecting. Let the guy speak, woman. And the more this woman talked, I swear the more guilty she appeared. And the whole paternity court witnessed it.
Meeting, everything came out on the table.
Okay.
Only thing I asked her husband, do you mind if he comes around me because she feels like I'm the father? And so, yeah, I've been getting my time.
Lord. Why you say, oh Lord, Miss Hicks?
Because of the simple fact, he stayed walking distance from us. Once he came to our house, I told him, don't start a relationship with him. He wanted to start that relationship.
Well, all that doubt and denial was taking them nowhere, apart from going around in circles. But we aren't here for that, are we? Nope, we're here for answers, real ones, and they were ready to be dished out. Let's see who was being truthful and who wasn't.
Mr. Bolton, you are not his father.
I brought him around a lot of different people. So regardless of the fact, it's just like a dagger in my heart.
I'm so sorry. I know this wasn't the news you wanted. I could see it in your eyes. It's like I hated to say the not. I could see in your face you were wanting it to be so.
Miss Michelle was a broken shell of a woman by the courtesy of her dear old sister. Yep, she was her sister for having a child with her husband of 10 years. Wow! Get ready, people, for a tale of family feuds, betrayal, and a desperate search for the truth.
I came home and found him and her in our bed naked. I knew that they were sleeping together, but to put it in my face and be in my bed and me walk in and catch them naked, why would it be any different? She slept with my first husband and my second husband. I didn't even know about my second husband until my dad told me.
Around each of them in the same predicament.
So you're not denying this,
No.
Miss Hicks?
So, these sisters share quite a tumultuous history. Yeah, no way to sugarcoat that one. Yikes. The eldest had saved the youngest from the depths of despair, and while sharing a recent such incident, safe to say, it was nothing short of traumatic with a capital T.
Lost control of my life, myself, my morals, everything. And when I got clean,
every time you picked up a phone
when I
and
got
called.
clean,
I
had been an addict and homeless for 15 years.
It wasn't your mom.
And I
it
didn't
was
know
me.
how to be
It was the
respectful.
same
I didn't know
person
how
that
to be a
took care of
woman.
you.
I didn't know how to be a lady. I didn't know how to respect myself.
To say the relationship was strained? That's gotta be the understatement of the century, man. These guys did have love between them once. So where did it all go wrong? Oh, I know. The point where the wife allowed the husband to sleep with her sister. True story, folks.
You looked your husband in the eye and gave him permission to sleep with your sister?
Yes, I had been with him for 10 years.
Right.
She is probably about number 35 of the women that he'd been with.
They also had an open relationship where Michelle has invited people, like on Corey's birthday, over to
was
be
a
a
stripper.
part of
Yep,
that.
there was.
They had an open relationship.
What kind of marriages are people having these days? Well, Miss Michelle herself let the guy do the devil's tango. So why doubt paternity then? The said husband was a notorious fella. Oh yeah. Oh, his infidelity knew no bounds. The jerk.
What makes you so special?
Why would anybody want to have
And ask
Corey's
her about
baby?
how they
He's
got
not
the
a
baby.
millionaire. He's not a millionaire. It's not like I'm going to get a lot of
Because-
child support. What do you think I want from him? It ain't his
Are
money.
you saying to the court that you feel he's unable
No,
to
she's
have
not
children,
done with
physically
him, and she
unable?
hopes that Kayla's not his
If I
baby.
wanted, when he came up to me and asked me to sleep with him, I could have.
Well, these sisters certainly argue like sisters, and boy, they weren't done ripping at each other yet. Yep, those floodgates were open, and so were the good old cans of worms, and they were everywhere.
When Shauna was pregnant, who
She
was
bought
there
her
for
everything.
You?
She bought my baby everything. Why would they
It was
buy
about
my
her.
baby everything?
It was,
This
you know,
is
your own
confusing
dad
to me.
didn't
I'm like,
want you to have a
I'm
baby
pulled
shower
both ways. This doesn't
because he
make
was
sense. I didn't have a baby shower.
I know.
Everything I got were blessings from different
Because I
people.
bought it.
Not just you.
Let's have some order, ladies.
About time the infamous husband graced the court with his presence. So, Mr. Corey had been made a fool twice regarding paternity, but seemed to be sure about this one. Yet he didn't sign the birth certificate. He went on a long story as to why he couldn't sign it, but frankly, that wasn't playing in his favor at all.
It came down for her to sign the papers. By the time they would go up and get the papers for me to sign, I would have already been at work.
Yeah,
So you was in and out. Now, how old is the baby?
Almost 11 months.
Almost 11 months
Yes, ma'am.
old. So in 11 months, you never take it upon yourself to make arrangements to sign that birth certificate?
By the looks of it, it appeared the real problem lay in the fact that Miss Michelle never seemed to have gotten pregnant by Mr. Corey. Yup, she was a woman scorned. And we all know how the saying goes. And still, the baby daddy couldn't resist poking the woman further.
The other 25 women that he carried on with for long-term relationships.
No, you just jealous of us and you want to take the baby. That's what that is.
I don't want your baby. I don't want Kayla.
I didn't say you wanted to have the baby.
Really?
Yeah, she came in and picked my baby up because we were outside on the patio.
I sure did. Her premature baby was on the couch by herself.
After all the drama and turmoil, the moment of truth was upon this family, or what was left of them. They had a lot of resentment towards each other, but the real issue was the paternity. Let's see what fate had in store for them.
It has been determined by this court, Mr. Hill, you are her father.
I just want to say what I was back then, I'm not today. And everybody needs a time frame to grow and get better. And I'm sorry that I didn't make the right decision.
Miss Lindsay had spent years grappling with lies and uncertainty about her father's identity. But now she believes she may have finally found the answer. The only obstacle? Could she be able to prove that? Because the defendant definitely believed otherwise.
You admit to having a sexual relationship with Ms. Lindsay's mother, but say there is no way you're her biological father.
That's right, Your Honor. I met her and we just had like a hit and run situation. She disappeared on me and then we got back together again and it just kept on for years that way. And there's no way she could be my daughter.
Better buckle up, people, because this mystery was years in the making. So it was gonna be a wild one. Baby daddy and mama had a fling. A hit-and-run situation, as they called it. She then ghosted the guy, but appeared back years later. And not just that, also rekindled their affair. And the poor daughter knew about this possible father, who was so close, yet so far away.
About 35 years ago, my mom does admit to having a child with Mr. Dannebrink. When I was about 16 years old, an ex of Mr. Dannebrink's came to my house and accused me of being the child that they had had together. And when I had asked my mother about that, she told me no, that it wasn't true.
You were 16?
Yes.
Well, once, these guys used to bump uglies, but now they were the best of friends. Yeah, how about that? Furthermore, Mama was sure Mr. Dannebrink wasn't her guy, but so was the daughter that he was, as she presented a conception calendar of her own. However, these guys were doing the nasty for just a couple of weeks. Bump and go!
This calendar shows, for one, the day that I was born. And if you count back, if I was born full term, the conception would be between May and June. The doctors did say that I was born a month premature, which puts my due date at March 11th, which my mother would be right at that time.
Oh, you guys aren't prepared for what's about to hit you next. Now, Lindsay seriously doubted her mother, and she had a pretty good reason for it. Apparently, Mommy Dearest once told her of another kid that died at childbirth. Yeah, and guess whose kid that was?
Miss Lindsay, I'm looking at your face. It doesn't seem like you're believing a lot of your mother's testimony.
I don't.
Why?
She says that she had this child. I've never seen the papers, although I've asked a few times. And on top of that one, I've went to the public records place. There's no proof of her birth or death.
Dear Lord, no wonder the plaintiff doesn't believe a word out of her mother's mouth. But hold on, that wasn't the end of it. Yep, there was more. Baby mama was full of surprises, man. Here's another one.
She didn't technically lie about another brother, but she didn't tell me. She got pregnant and gave him up for adoption. It went through social media that he found me. And I'm like, wait, what are you talking about? You're not my brother. And I called my mom and I said, I have another brother? And she's like, well, I thought he died. And I was like, what?
Bet you didn't see that coming. Moving on, Miss Lindsay shared her life story without a father. And boy, wasn't that painful. Furthermore, she mentioned a best friend, and the guy happened to be the defendant's son.
I had one friend that was like my best friend, and it just happened to be his son.
Wait, that could potentially be your brother?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
But you all were good friends?
Yes.
Just friends, I hope.
Yes, Your Honor. That goes through my head, trust and believe me. Not knowing exactly who my dad is, it does go through my head as to which ones I've dated might have been.
The moment of truth was here, and the stakes were high for the plaintiff. Whether her lifelong search for a father finally came to an end, or whether her paternity remains a mystery, we are about to find out.
It has been determined by this court, Mr. Dannenbrink, you are not her father.
It doesn't matter. I consider her my daughter.